Pushing for answers. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Republicans continue to demand a full congressional investigation into the origins of COVID-19, even after President Biden ordered intelligence agencies to redouble their efforts into finding the origin. Utah Republican Congressman Chris Stewart believes China is clearly to blame.
Giving the evidence that said this may have come from the lab, and in fact, there's pretty substantial circumstantial evidence that it did come from the lab. But this is one of the most important questions that only our nation but the world has to answer.
The World Health Organization says the investigation is being spoiled by politics. Health officials in the UK fear another wave of COVID-19. Fox's Kitty Logan is in London.
The UK is due to fully lift restrictions in about 3 weeks' time, but there are increasing concerns about this new India variant, which seems to be spreading faster than other strains. The UK today reported 3,398 new COVID cases and 7 deaths. That is the highest figure in 2 months, and the majority of those new cases are this new India variant. So far, vaccinations are helping keep it under control. 39 million people have had their first dose in the UK.
Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, received her first coronavirus vaccine dose today. Memorial Day weekend. It's not about cookouts and travel.
It's about honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defending our great country.
Marine Colonel Teague Pastel, the AAA, says Memorial Day travel this year is up 60% from last year. Gavin MacLeod, the star and captain of the TV series The Love Boat, has died. MacLeod, who was also known as a TV news writer on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, reportedly had been suffering from poor health in the last months. He died this morning at the age of 90. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
The FAA is reporting a spike in unruly passenger reports. Fox Business Network's Grady Trimble tells us why.
A lot of travelers have told me that it feels like before the pandemic, other than the masks, of course, and it is that mask requirement that has led to some tense and at times violent moments in the skies. A woman is seen repeatedly hitting a Southwest flight attendant is the latest. The FAA says there has been a massive spike in unruly and dangerous passenger behavior. More than 2,500 reports since the beginning of the year, the vast majority of those over that mask requirement.
The federal government working on a new system for managing security clearances. Fox's Rachel Sutherland reports.
It's called continuous vetting. Trusted Workforce 2.0 eliminates the need for government workers to be reinvestigated every 5 to 15 years. The government says the system also speeds up the security clearance process and will help clear a backlog of cases. The Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency says by the end of 2023, all agencies and contractors will be part of the program, which monitors employees for security risks. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
The second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs is today.
The New York Islanders and Boston Bruins will open up round 2 to settle a winner out of the realigned East Division in a best-of-7 today. The Islanders going 5-2 against the Bruins during the regular season, something that head coach Bruce Cassidy.
An unpopular police officer thinks about committing a racially motivated offense for a little support. A middle-aged man is having the best snacks of his life, and a housefly drops everything to go stand on a watermelon slice. This is the Onion Week in Review. Noting the youth center's ping pong table and array of DVDs and Blu-rays, local youth minister Mark Kindler told reporters this week that his church's new rec room has everything a teen could want. The youth pastor revealed that the basement facility's many teen-friendly amenities include a new Wii U console, an iPod dock for the teens to play any music they like, and some comfortable recliners for those who just want to relax or do their homework after school.
We've really gone out of our way to give the rec room a laid-back atmosphere. It's stocked with snacks, but sometimes at the end of the week, we'll spring for some pizza. Honestly, I wish I had a place like this when I was their age.
In other news, increased violence leads the State Department to issue an advisory for Americans traveling to 1861, and an elderly lobbyist is always droning on about how little legislation used to cost in his day.
This is the Onion News Network. Captain Actual America is overweight and hopelessly in debt. And the Richie Rich comic strip introduces a new, even gayer character. As if you needed another reason to remain in your isolated and socially degenerative cocoon, this is the Onion Week in Review, Comics Edition. Sources confirmed Tuesday that the Comic Book and Sci-Fi Expo Comic-Con was once again marred by BullyCon, an increasingly popular event held in the same convention space. Now in its 5th year, BullyCon reportedly drew more than 125,000 tormentors from across the nation, all of whom were bent on beating up and torturing those attending the many comic book, television, and movie panels at Comic-Con.
When this got started, it was just a couple of friends who wanted to beat the shit out of some Joss Whedon fans, but now there are thousands of us, ruining Walking Dead panels, taunting Harry Potter nerds, and really making some video gamers' lives completely miserable. I don't necessarily need to travel to San Diego to slap a copy of Spider-Man out of some pussy's hands, but something really special about coming together with people who dig the same sort of cruelty you do.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. We are the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you want, whatever's on your mind. Doesn't matter. If we're talking about something you don't want to talk about that, great, change the subject. Or if we're talking about something you like, feel free to call in and comment. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's me, Vincent.
And it's Ian.
Welcome back again, Ian.
Yes, indeed.
Your second appearance since your triumphant release. Or at least you're in a cage of different sorts now.
Unfortunately, our co-host Nobody is still in a cage. Was denied a bail hearing. Who was at a bail hearing, but then denied bail because of some of the statements that he made while in jail. Yeah.
Sadly, it seemed like he was, venting to a friend, and they said they made the entire phone call available to the court, but not to the public. But they did play what I'm going to say the heavily edited clips of his conversation that made it sound probably much worse than it perhaps may have been.
I don't think it did. Knowing Nobody and the things he said on the air, no, I don't think that was out of any context whatsoever. He really, he's a very angry person, unfortunately, at what the government has done to him over the years, and it's a discussion that has come up multiple times here on Free Talk Live, and unfortunately, I love the guy, right? Like, I think he's awesome. He's a great host on the air, super talented, super smart, great programmer. He's just in a place of anger, and being in a place of anger like that does not lead to good things in general. Violence does not make things better. Right. If you want to have peace, and he purports to want that, then peace needs to be your way. It needs to be the means if that is to be your end. And I don't think he has come to that conclusion. And so he seems to think that violence is justified, and there's always justification for violence. So, I mean, I get it.
Well, when it comes to defending yourself from the state, there's always the ability to justify that because the state is aggression.
Correct. And I understand it. Like, I understand that anger is a fairly common response. It's sort of a natural response for people when something horrible has been done to you.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's not the response that's going to get you out of jail.
Yeah, well,
in that case.
Hopefully the court can see fit to do just that. I mean, anybody who knows Nobody, that's the person named Nobody, anybody who knows him would say, I've never seen him do anything violent.
No. He, in his own personal life, is a laid-back individual who's frequently relaxed and usually stoned, and he's a fun guy to be around. But I think he does want to see a violent revolution happen, and I don't personally, and I want to see peace.
Oh,
and
I want to see a revolution, but I don't want to see it be violent. And I think that there are ways to accomplish that without the violence.
Right.
And that is to, as Buckminster Fuller says, don't try to fight the existing thing. Instead, build something better that folks will gravitate towards because it's better. Instead of fighting what exists, I'm paraphrasing his quote, of course.
Yeah.
But that's
they will fight you for that, right? So anytime you try to build something that's better, they're
will
going to come after. That's what they're doing here. I mean, they're
Correct.
fighting against Bitcoin. They're
right.
Bitcoin's a threat to the system that they've been living on for so many years. The financial system, the Federal Reserve System, that allows them to print money out of thin air and extract wealth from everyone that has the dollar. You know, if you have any savings of the dollar and they print more dollars, then they've just taken your value right out from behind your back without you even having any say over it whatsoever. And so, of course, cryptocurrency gives people an exit from that system.
Right.
So they're going to fight it.
Which is my point. And welcome, Lee.
By the way, Vincent has
Peakless Mountaineer.
Transmogrified into Peakless Mountaineer.
Transmogrified. Yes, you've grown a beard and your voice got a little bit deep. I'm not sure whose voice is deeper, Vincent's or Peakless Mountaineer's.
So one of the things I wanted to point out is that they have all sorts of ways of masking and hiding the fact that they've done that to us.
Done what?
That they've taken the value out of our currency by printing it. And one of the ways that they hide that with savings in particular is that most people hold their savings in stocks and bonds, stocks especially. And with when they print off a bunch of money, I mean, the people that are close to the tap get that money first. Right. So that's the politically well connected, and a lot of them are corporate CEOs, that sort of thing. And especially a lot of every time they print a lot of money, they put a lot of it directly into a lot of major corporations. So that
the politically connected ones.
Yeah, the politically connected ones, and specifically the ones who have contributed to whoever happens to be in office's campaign funds. And et cetera, and other things that those people are, heads of. They often sit on things like board of directors of, either companies or nonprofit organizations or political organizations and that type of a thing. And so those who contribute are the ones who receive the favors when they're in line to do so. Like, should somebody get elected president, well, then if you've been their pal all along, and by pal I mean a contributor to whatever their causes are, well, then you're in line for the political favors as they roll down, specifically when they start doing things like printing money. It's going to roll to the political and corporate elite, those who are connected and have contributed, right? They're going to, it's like a favor thing. It's a big club, as nobody would say, and you ain't in it, which of course is a famous George Carlin quote.
Somebody sent me a book, and I don't know who it was, because whenever I would receive books in jail, they would just give me the book, and it wouldn't say this came from somebody, because it's delivered by Amazon, so you don't know who sent it to you. And so thank you to whoever it was that sent, all the books that were sent, but specifically a great book called Thank God for Bitcoin, which was published late last year. So it's a new book.
Who's the author?
There's actually eight
really?
or 10 people, a large group of Bitcoiners.
Yeah. Some
of them who I'm aware of, others I'd not heard of. But they came together. I think they call themselves the Bitcoin and Bible Group.
Okay.
So they tend to be of a Christian persuasion. But but that aside, it's a great book that really goes into the money system, the Federal Reserve, inflation. Just it hammers on those topics for 90 pages, and just gives you a little bit of the history of money, the history of the Federal Reserve, gold backing on the original dollar, and then when they took that away. And
it is written that he will return on a cloud. I don't think they were thinking this kind of cloud.
But it was great, because then they point out that Bitcoin is the solution to these problems, because it's outside of the hands of the state and the Federal Reserve, and there's not much that they can do about it, at least not to the individuals who are using it, not to the individuals who are running the system, but they do focus on things like the exchanges, any kind of centralized point, and people like the hosts of this show.
Well, and that's one of the things that keeps me enthusiastic about not just Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but the blockchain technology. And I know that there's been some, I want to say co-opting of the word blockchain by corporations and that kind of thing, because instead of people using the word Bitcoin to talk about what they want to say blockchain, well, we're looking into blockchain technology.
Oh, yeah, the conflation of digital currency, blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency as if they were all the same thing when they're completely different.
But the blockchain, which is the underlying thing that makes Bitcoin a thing, or all cryptocurrency, that's the technology.
Well, it's one of two major technologies that makes the whole thing work.
Sure. I mean, cryptographic
cryptography in general, right? Yeah.
Well, and the distributed network is really the other part of that.
Right.
So
the network effect, if you will, which we've seen. So that's what keeps me enthusiastic, is that blockchain technology hasn't even reached a minuscule amount of its potential.
That's true.
If you will, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are just the first sort of killer application that's awesome, that makes sense and has value to people because it is a representation of value. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio program where you can take control of the airwaves. And you can talk about whatever is on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Peakless Mountaineer.
And I'm Ian.
And let's just go right away to your calls and thoughts. We have Bitcoin Gandhi calling in from New Hampshire, who's on a mission, if you will. Bitcoin Gandhi, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is so wonderful to see Mr. Freeman back out.
Hey, Gandhi, thanks for the call tonight.
Yes. Now, I am approaching, I have each night staying out in the open on my march closer and closer to the Concord Federal Building, where I will commit civil disobedience or satyagraha in protest of the attack on Free Talk Live and the New Hampshire Bitcoin community.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And it's interesting. Somebody sent me some books about Gandhi in jail. So I was actually reading the Satyagraha book. I just started that like the day I got released. So I need to keep reading through that. I mean, I already knew a little bit about it, having been a fan of civil disobedience and non-cooperation. And Gandhi was one of the people who really helped popularize that. And so you have sort of taken the mantle up once again. And you hit the road like, what, 2-3 weeks ago now? Early May, I think it was?
In imitation of his 24-day salt march, my march is also 24 days long.
And you started in Keene at one of the locations that was raided by the FBI, the Mighty Moose Mart / Bitcoin Embassy in Keene and East Keene.
Yep.
And you've been marching ever since. I heard that it's been a bit of an arduous march. You were hit by some poison ivy at one point.
Oof.
Yes, and I have developed a cough. There has also been difficulties with staying dry. Of course, the Mahatma slept outdoors each night during his 24-day march.
Did he? I was going to ask about that. Now, have people been offering you shelter and you've turned it down because you want to emulate him and stay outdoors?
Yes, people have offered me indoor shelter. I could accept a backyard, spot to pitch a tent and so forth, but that is sometimes difficult because it angers neighbors and whatnot. And so I have received an offer to camp in someone's backyard. I have chosen not to.
Gotcha.
At this time. But I do have some news related to the march itself and the public's reaction to it.
Yeah, please.
So I don't know if you're aware of this or not. I published it on my little channel, t.me. Well, yeah, I published it essentially on bitcoingandhi.net. But the Concord Monitor and Union Leader appear to have both refused to accept advertising money to mention this event.
What?
Wow.
Because this was one of my biggest questions was, are the news media going to ignore this, what is, I would say, remarkable activism, very unusual, very, I would say, interesting, of a man walking
newsworthy by all means,
right, for weeks outdoors to protest. And not only are they not covering you just on its own volition, they won't even take money for ad money.
Well, it is possible that one of them might be negotiated into it, and I have a person working on that. I had some people at the beginning volunteer money for advertising, and we have spent it successfully in Keene at both of the newspapers there. But we are running into problems with the Union Leader and the Monitor to some extent.
Did they give you an explanation as to why?
I am somewhat out of touch and not able to determine precisely everything that is going on. I get information by short text. I can send short text. I can't talk on the phone much. It's been very difficult for me to call talk radio. This is an exception to tonight, and it may be some time before I can call again. But it is difficult to get electricity and keep the phone in functional status. The phone is gradually dying in many different ways, and my computer has stopped working, and various different problems, which I would have expected, of course, have occurred. And, the important thing is simply to be there on June 2nd and hand deliver to commit to civil disobedience, which is basically handing a piece of paper to them, telling them that I didn't like them arresting you. They will arrest me for doing that.
Why is that civil disobedience?
Because it violates federal regulation 102-74.415, I believe, which is the prohibition on distribution of handbills.
Oh, but wait. So the prohibition of distribution of handbills applies to the government agents themselves? You can't give them a piece of paper?
Yes, I was arrested for it in 2007 for doing it at an IRS office.
Yeah, so much for the ability to redress grievances.
Yeah, and doesn't that also, to me, that seems the equivalent of the press, right? Mm-hmm. You've printed something. I don't care what size it is. A handbill is supposed to be a smaller thing, like a one page in general. But to me, that seems like you've printed something. That's press. You should be able to hand that stuff out. Freedom of the press, right?
Yeah, and I remember back in 2007, 2006, 05, there were multiple arrests for different activists who were doing the quote-unquote distribution of handbills. If I recall correctly, it was in Keene at the IRS office. There were, I think, Russell Canning or his wife and or both were handing out flyers to people or attempted to, and they were arrested for that. Isn't that right, Gandhi?
Roughly, it is complicated. In 2006, he was arrested for. He wasn't really focused on the distribution of handbills. It was just something he kind of did as part of his event. Mm-hmm. He was attempting. He wanted to overturn the tables of the tax collectors. Like
That's right.
And
that's
so
clearly
they stopped him
illegal.
before he got up there, and I believe he must have handed out a flyer or something. And I believe distribution of handbills was one of the charges.
That's right.
When I heard that, I went and distributed handbills in protest. It didn't occur to me that they'd be arrested. I don't think I understood fully the distribution of handbills was actually part of the crime.
What happened to you back then? Did they drop the charge, or did you just get like a few days in jail as the sentence? What was the sentence?
They kept bringing me to court and back to court and back to court, and they kept asking me if I would pay the fine, and eventually they determined that I would not pay the fine. It was a $125 fine, and then at that point they gave me just 4 days in jail.
Wow. So you're expecting similar results this time around if they choose to arrest you for it?
Well, I do not know if they will arrest me on the spot. If they do arrest me, I assume the sentence would be heavier than it was before because of the repeat offense problem. But I just hope that I hope that they can do something to inspire people to do something, and that we can recapture some of the spirit that we had in 2007 when there was quite a lot of we had more attention in those times, and we had more civil disobedience, and it seems like we were doing more, even though we had fewer people, and I'd like to recapture that spirit.
Hey,
me too.
Bitcoin Gandhi, do you have enough cell phone to hang on? The segment is, drawing to the close. If not, tell people how to help.
I can let it ride.
Okay, let's let it ride, because I'd like to hear more about your journey, and I think our listeners deserve to hear more as well. So stand by. 603-283-6160. How do you feel about Bitcoin Gandhi doing his 24-day march?
It's heroic.
Absolutely.
I was asking the listeners, but sure. You guys are free to answer. It's Free Talk Live for a reason. We've got more Free Talk Live on the way. Again, 603-283-6160.
Carl Wattner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Wattner, Wattner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back to the Saturday night edition of Free Talk Live. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. We've got a couple of calls holding right now, so if you get a busy signal, just go ahead, keep trying. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
And we've been visiting with Bitcoin Gandhi, talking about updates on his 24-day journey. Bitcoin Gandhi, you're back with us.
Hello.
So, Gandhi, you're on your way towards the federal courthouse in Concord, New Hampshire. You've been on a 24-day journey emulating Gandhi's Salt March, which happened, like most of 100 years ago at this point?
1930.
Wow. And so you're doing this on behalf of, or to bring attention to, the raid that happened here in the studio on March 16th, so over 2 months ago. The Crypto Six, as that we're being called, 6 people, including myself, arrested by federal agents in an armed raid that was very destructive and terrifying for the people that were involved. I think I can speak for everybody in that aspect.
And I love to mention that the only people who committed what we consider a crime, that is the harm of people or property, are the federal agents and the police.
Yeah, and so you want to bring attention to that, but so far the media has shut you out. Have you gotten any coverage whatsoever?
Yes. The union leader ran an article at the beginning.
Okay.
It has factual errors, but the important thing is they showed a picture of it, and they showed a picture of freethecrypto6.com on my sign.
Great.
Which is what I'm asking. What I'm trying to do is raise $25,000 for freethecrypto6.com, which is run by one of your co-hosts, so that they can help with your legal defense.
Awesome.
The other media attention, Freedom's Phoenix has covered it, and the Libertarian Enterprise has covered it, as well as a local talk radio in New Hampshire. But it is less coverage than I would have expected at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there are other media that have covered it. I haven't even. Free Concord TV and Breaking the Flaw have both covered it. So there is a fair amount of coverage, but it does seem like there is an attempt by the mainstream press to whistle and look the other way. I was while I was out marching, a man stopped in his car next to me and he said, "Hello," and I said, "Hello, are you with the police?" And he said, "No, I'm with New Hampshire Public Radio." Took my picture and drove off.
Didn't bother to interview you.
He didn't say. He didn't ask me a single question.
Wow.
He just wished me safety. But what's interesting is what does seem to be, there are various things that are going right. And one is the effect that it seems to have on bureaucrats, because I have stopped at many bureaucratic offices on this march. I tried to stop at every police department I could get to, between Keene and Concord. And their reaction is actually quite extraordinary in some cases. One police officer pulled over while I was walking, with all my equipment and my Gandhi outfit, and he asked if he could help, and then he told me he was a libertarian.
Wow.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
So of course, with each of these offices that we visit, we ask them, sometimes it's just me, sometimes there are other people, but we ask them when we arrive, what we're here to do is make a request of you that you reduce your level of cooperation with the rapacious central government of the United States.
Great. And what is their response? It's
usually not bad. Some of them say, one person said, "Well, I'll think about it." Someone else said, "I'd lose my job." Someone else said, "Well, it's outside my area of purview." Other people, but in one case, the police were called on me when I was at a bureaucrat's office. And when the police came, they wanted to know what was up. Then they left. And then when I continued going to different offices around the complex, they came back and brought me water.
Oh, that's very nice.
Well, and I love the way you're phrasing that. Reduce your cooperation. I mean, I'll be fired. Actually, so here's an example of a very easy way to reduce your cooperation. So what usually happens in highly bureaucratic systems is that there are a bunch of rules that exist that are simply not followed. Because if you followed every single rule, everything tends to grind to a halt. So a form of protest that is surprisingly common in academia is that they actually start following to the letter every single restriction, every single bureaucratic requirement. And because they do this, everything starts grinding to a halt. So one of the ways that those who are concerned that they would lose their job could, if they actually want to do this, could simultaneously be doing their job completely and, in theory, have no direct risk of losing their job, but effectively reduce their cooperation with the central federal government is to actually make sure that you are following absolutely every single stricture.
To the letter.
Mm-hmm.
To the letter.
That's interesting.
What, Gandhi, what is the response just from passersby, average folks that you've been encountering?
Well, no one has responded negatively. Perhaps 5 people have pulled over and offered to help that had no idea what I was doing, what was going on. Some have brought, some of those have provided me with water, which of course is the most important thing. It's very difficult to carry much of it. Perhaps I would say 7 or 8 times Free Staters have pulled over and joined the march, or brought me some goodies, or stop to talk or whatnot. And then there's resupply has been happening. It's very important to imagine, so it's much like a regular military campaign where the person in the front is really just one tiny part of the 16 people behind him, right? And so to some extent that's happening here. There's one young man named Will Kelly who has resupplied me now, I believe, 5 times.
Wow.
Mike Williamy has resupplied me twice. And L. Stone has resupplied me twice. And so Joa has come, to hunt me down so that he can take my picture, one of your co-hosts. Yep. So there's a great deal that's going on. But it's not like this is not Gujarat province, right? It doesn't work the same way as when you have many, many millions of people around you. It is a New Hampshire-sized version of the Bitcoin Salt March, of the Gandhi Salt March.
Bit of a difference in population between India and New Hampshire last I checked.
And also, let's be clear. I mean, Gandhi had already made an impact before the Salt March, right? Like, he already had a lot of renown. I'm not saying you don't have renown.
As I recall, he had already been named a Mahatma at that point, which for those listeners who are unaware, that is a title, and a very, very high title indeed.
Yeah, so I'm not saying, Dave, you're unknown, but certainly, by comparison, Gandhi had a bit of a greater starting point.
Hey, Bitcoin Gandhi, where can people learn more about you and what you're doing, and how can they help you?
URLs are very hard to remember, so I always like to come up with a song. BitcoinGandhi.net, because New Hampshire is not Washington's pet.
Nice.
I love it. BitcoinGandhi.net. That's GANDHI, correct?
I always forget where to put the H.
I am not accepting donations myself. I am asking people to donate to freethecrypto6.com.
Thank you for that, Gandhi. Definitely appreciate it. And I hope a bunch of people come out. Where should they meet you, besides just on the way? On which day? You said June 2nd you're going to be at the federal courthouse in Concord. What time?
June 2nd, 3 p.m. at the federal court building. I'd like it if we could march a bit around it. Then I can go and hand him the forbidden piece of paper.
And I got to say that this is an even more noble act, knowing that you have spent time in jail to what is obviously freedom of speech, freedom of the press before. And it really does put the lie to people's imagining of, we don't need to put people in jail for absolutely every law. No, you absolutely need to have the threat of jail for there to be a law.
Bitcoin Gandhi, thank you for the call, and thank you for all of your activism. Keep up the good work, and let us know how it goes.
And you for yours.
Indeed. 603-283-6160. There is more Free Talk Live coming your way.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you ever say, I could care less, when you really mean the opposite? You mean to say, I couldn't care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your daily routine. So whatever you say, don't say whatever as a single-word sentence. It's the most annoying expression in the American English language, according to a recent poll. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. But seriously, at the end of the day, you'll want to avoid this scenario, sounding like everyone else. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's show. This is Free Talk Live. What is Free Talk Live? Well, it's a radio program. We're on somewhere around 200 radio stations. We're on the internet globally and a couple of satellite stations, maybe a few. So lots of folks listening, which is great because we try to bring you the viewpoint of freedom, peace, and prosperity. Generally speaking, some folks call us a libertarian or anarchist talk program. We like to think of ourselves as a program that's all about the caller. So if you want to call in, it's 603-283-6160. We've got a call on hold we'll get to in just a moment. I am your host tonight, the captain. Joining me,
Pickless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
We had just gotten done talking about Bitcoin Gandhi, who called in to recap and update us on his 24-day march for the Crypto 6.
I got to say, I hope that Bitcoin Gandhi is successful in his goal, which is not just to bring attention to the Crypto 6, but also to reinvigorate some of the real life direct action kind of activism that has honestly been lacking for most of the last several years here in New Hampshire. It had a real heyday maybe between like 2005 and 2010 or 2012. And it's just since then people have been
on
taking
that
it
subject.
Well,
I mean, I hate to point.
Can you hold that thought for just a minute? Because I need to tell people that on March 16th of 2021, government agencies conspired and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were arrested. We call these people the Crypto Six. The 4 of them were released relatively soon on some sort of bail conditions. Mr. Ian Freeman, sitting here with us, was held for 69 days, and the person named Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, remains in custody. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's a bunch of information on that site. There's a video that sort of details kind of what happened on that day, and you can also donate to their legal defense fund in many ways, either in United States dollars or in a variety of cryptocurrencies, including Monero, because these charges are not a joke, and it's going to take serious legal teams and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further state aggression. This case is also very likely to set precedent around Bitcoin that's going to affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com.
Oh, I was saying, I hate to put it this way, but as far as I can tell, the biggest thing that was going on that really got people's fervor was Ron Paul. And
you mean back in the day?
Yeah. 2007, 2008?
Yeah, he ran in 2008 and 2012, wasn't it?
Yep.
And as much as I hate to put that much of a focus on politics, there is something to be said for having a central point of our desire for liberty and having sort of a warm center to gather around to actually form a community.
I don't, what you say is true, but I don't think it's true per se in New Hampshire. What was happening here was going on years before Ron Paul got on the scene, because he didn't run for president. I mean, he ran in 1988, but recently it was 2008 and 2012 when he ran for president. But the civil disobedience that Dave Ridley was talking about was happening in 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012. So it was like a several year range that was it was hot. I mean, whenever somebody would do an act of civil disobedience, it would seem to inspire another act of civil disobedience by somebody else, and then another act by somebody else. And the problem, of course, is that civil disobedience, when you're a lone individual or a couple of individuals, is not a sustainable form of activism, because as we've seen, you get a rap sheet.
Well, these are super predators that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And any predator knows that you get the one that is separated from the pack.
Right. And the benefit, of course, of what happened with the original Gandhi was he had people supporting him in large numbers. I mean, we're talking thousands of people who were, marching and walking with him and standing with him.
The original crowdsourcing.
Yeah, and we've never had, more than 100 or so, and that was the peak which actually nobody, who was formerly known as Rich Paul, put together the smokeouts, the 420 rallies here in Keene. We eclipsed more than I would say 130 at one of those rallies, and interestingly, most of those were natives. Most of the attendees there, the supermajority of them,
very impressive for a town this size.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure they came from elsewhere, but yeah, I mean, we had some Free Staters, but most of them were people who were inspired, and they came out. And of course, that's what the original Gandhi did as well. He inspired people to come out and follow him. But we're just not there right now. For whatever reason, the activism has focused more on the political. And when you get more political action, you get the kind of people. And I'm not trying to downplay that. I think that's important. I've done that myself. I've run for office. I've testified at the State House. Please do whatever it is you feel like doing. I'm not saying people should,
by all means, many angles of attack has always been one of our very biggest advantages, is that this person is inspired to act in this way, this person's inspired to act in this way, and by having these multiple different ways of coming at this, we can get more done.
Right, and if Bitcoin Gandhi shows up at the federal courthouse on June 2nd, and no one is there to support him, it's going to go differently for him, likely, than if 50 people are there to support him, than if 100 people are there to support him.
If 1,000 people show up, it'll be different.
The more people that you have to support a direct action civil disobedience, even if they're not participating in civil disobedience, even if they're just holding a video camera or there to just simply observe, that still makes a difference. You don't have to, put your neck in the guillotine to take the ultimate risk, like somebody like Bitcoin Gandhi. He is taking a risk. He knows that he could be arrested for going and doing an act as simple as handing a piece of paper to a bureaucrat. And he's going to do it.
And I mean, sleeping outside and like doing the march, that's a lot of physical exertion on his part.
That's amazing.
He's literally putting himself. I mean, it gets cold at night still here. It's only early May here in New Hampshire. There's also wild animals and all sorts of things. If he's sleeping in the woods or whatever, if he's walking along a freeway, I mean, there's all sorts of danger to him personally. So not only is he putting himself at risk from the state, he's putting himself at risk from regular, normal, daily occurrences here in New Hampshire. So, and what I really like about what Bitcoin Gandhi is doing is, to me, he's incorporating art into his activism.
Street theater.
A little bit of street theater, if you will, or at least journey theater, right?
Well, he's dressing up.
He is the character. He's living the character. And, he keeps the accent going and all that kind of thing. And to me, that's art. And that says a lot more to me about where his heart and soul is in this, that he has put that much thought and that much passion into what he is doing. And he has my respect for all of that.
Yeah, me too.
Not to mention whatever his previous activism was as well. So that is a big deal to me, just as a guy doing a radio show looking on at what he's doing. I respect the hell out of him.
Me too. Best activist we've got.
Absolutely. And especially if you want to keep this thing going peacefully, like that is exactly the kind of thing that we need.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Scott the Bigot calling from Florida. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, gentlemen. I hope you'll hold me over because I don't have that much time. I want to Captain Kickass and Mountaineer and Ian. I'm glad that you are free man, Ian. And,
I'm not free.
Yeah, I actually joked with Ian a little bit earlier. I was like, you should consider legally changing your name to Les.
I'm just here.
Les Freeman.
I'm not free. I'm on house arrest, basically. I can't leave without permission, essentially. I've got an ankle monitor.
Well, haven't you heard? That's what everyone goes through now.
Yeah, but it's a little worse for me.
You know my sentiments on the state. I hate the government. The difference between you and me is you have the courage.
No, you don't. I heard your call earlier this week. You were on Mountaineer, and you asked Scott the question about, maybe it wasn't you, but you were on the show. Somebody asked you the question, Scott, about, well, what if there weren't, because you hate Jews, Scott, and you are, that's what you always get into.
Yeah.
The question was, well, if Jews weren't in charge of everything, which you believe that they are, let's say they weren't, and it was all Christians, and would you be okay with being told what to do by Christians? And you said, yeah, you'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah, a couple of times, actually.
Right?
Yeah, I recant that. I don't want to be dictated by anyone.
Oh, okay.
Let's be honest. But the reason why the Jews, they irritate me but that's not why I called. I don't want to.
Really? That's not why you called? Well, let's hear about it. What did you call for?
No, that's why I'm calling. If you let me, I want to thank our veterans out there. It is Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, I do want to hold on.
All right, yeah. Scott, hang on, because we're coming up, but we're going to keep you over. So stand by. 603-283-6160 is the number.
It is Veterans Weekend, that's right.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend. So we've got more Free Talk Live on the way.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative.
Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Holiday travel busy again. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Travel making a big comeback this weekend. Fox's Charles Watson reports from Charlotte, North Carolina.
This is expected to be the busiest weekend for Douglas International Airport since the start of the pandemic. And this is a major weekend for airlines across the country. They're expecting to see crowds comparable to pre-pandemic levels, with more than 2.5 million people traveling by plane.
The AAA says Memorial Day travel is up 60% from last year. Severe weather a possibility in the central and southern plains, while below average temperatures and rain are spoiling weekend plans in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz with Fox Weather.
Lingering Sunday. It's not going to be closer until Monday where we start to see this break up a little bit, but you see that take a real long time to slowly move its way up the coast.
People in Northern California are dealing with excessive heat. Weather causing problems for migrants and asylum seekers at the southern border. Fox's Aisha Hosni reports from Mission, Texas.
The weather is making the Rio Grande River a little choppy, and just behind me, the U.S. Coast Guard launched 2 boats to patrol the river. These border crossings, as they continue, could become dangerous sometime today. The president getting some heat for announcing these dedicated dockets, judges that would fast-track these asylum cases for families. 60 immigration advocacy groups, though, are complaining about these dockets, saying that they're only going to result in denials and deportations.
The Biden administration continues to say the border is closed. 20 people had to be rescued from a roller coaster that stopped in the middle of a ride at the Six Flags Fiesta Texas theme park in San Antonio. America is listening to Fox News.
You're still running your business on QuickBooks? More like quicksand. The bigger your company grows, the faster you sync with outdated software. NetSuite by Oracle is the scalable solution to run all key back-office operations, no matter how big your company grows. 93% of surveyed organizations increased visibility and control since making the switch from QuickBooks to NetSuite. Right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program. Head to netsuite.com/Fox. That's special financing at netsuite.com/Fox, netsuite.com/Fox.
Many Americans are taking short vacations this weekend, but the hospitality industry might not be quite ready.
Americans may be ready to hit the road and head to a hotel this weekend for some Memorial Day R&R, but the Associated Press reports your experience could be a bit different. Hotels and resorts may still be under COVID-19 directives requiring things like social distancing, and they may also have staffing shortages forcing them to operate at less than full capacity and with fewer services or amenities. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
A Colorado sheriff's deputy, an outspoken anti-vaxxer, has died from COVID-19.
33-year-old Daniel Trillo was the married father of 2 children. He was known around Denver for publicly criticizing the effectiveness of coronavirus vaccines. The former Marine had taken to social media to convince people to not take vaccines, arguing that in his case, his immune system would protect him. He also posted messages on social media ridiculing people who wear masks. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Fox News is airing stories of U.S. military members and its veterans this weekend.
It's the 8th year for the Fox News franchise series Proud American, which recognizes the U.S. Armed Forces by highlighting stories of American heroism. Fox News is donating $40,000.
Free Talk Live.
I think it corrupts people over time. I mean, I don't think a homosexual is not going to be perverted in 5 minutes to turn to bestiality. But over generations, if they're having children, I believe over generations, it will pervert.
I'm pretty certain that being gay is not a choice because I think I'd make that choice, right? Like, my biggest problem with gay people is that I'm, like, jealous of them. Like, they have that Grindr app, like, they just go on their smartphone and get laid.
Oh, yeah,
and
Derek is on that thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. I'm so envious of this, but I'm like, I gag when I brush my teeth. Like, I just couldn't do it, you know, and so... I made him laugh.
Wait, doesn't that mean he's perverted if he laughed at that joke?
You're laughing at a sick joke, sir. You're perverting society. You are responsible for the downfall of this country. It's all Karl Marx from here, thanks to you, pal.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A new report released this week has found that nearly 3/4 of sleepaway campers' parents are currently using their children's time away from home to take the first steps towards filing for divorce.
With 46% of campers' moms currently staying with their sisters while they try to figure it out, and 38% of campers' dads sleeping on the living room couch and staring at the ceiling for hours before falling asleep.
Most campers are, at this precise moment, wholly unaware that their fathers are looking for temporary sublets and are experiencing a level of carefree, joyful buoyancy that experts say they will never feel again.
The majority of campers currently have, on average, 16 days until their lives come crashing down around them, at which point their parents will pick them up from camp, drive them to a restaurant, and then break the news that while they'll always be a family, they won't be living together anymore.
I love camp this year. It's so much fun. Mom sent me so many care packages. Dad even sent one. It's awesome.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is the Saturday night edition of Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you would like to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind, is 603-283-6160. We've got a couple calls on hold right now, so if you get the busy tone, please keep trying. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
And let's just go ahead and bring Scott back on the line. So, Scott, you were calling because you had something to say about Memorial Day.
Yes, I do. I thank our vets that have fought for our country. I don't have qualms with them. They were following orders. I have qualms with our politicians.
Why don't you have qualms with people who follow orders from the politicians that you hate?
That's a good point. That's a legitimate point. I know what you're saying, that they're sheep that fought. Hypothetically, you're right. If everyone said, if there was a war, and like for Vietnam, and everyone in Vietnam during that era said, no, hell with the U.S. government, we're not going, they wouldn't be able to conduct the war, would they?
That's correct, yeah.
That's a fact. I mean,
so I guess
just following orders to kill is not...
I guess I did contradict myself. Let me rephrase that. They fought for a government that was not worthy of their sacrifice.
True.
They
That's
died
true.
for a government that was not worthy of their sacrifice. And I want to just harp on Iraq and Afghanistan. We have spent trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars. It's been a fiasco, a disaster, just like Vietnam was a disaster.
Sure.
And also thousands of American soldiers dead, thousands more serious amputees.
I think it's sad. I mean, I just want to say,
my feeling isn't gratitude; it's pity.
It's pity. Yeah, I don't hate them. I think it's sad, and I feel sorry that so many people have been duped into believing that following orders from a bunch of lying scumbags like politicians is somehow an honorable thing to do. It's not.
No, it's not. Not on any level. And also, let us not forget that we didn't pay for anything. They took the money. They took the money to pay for it. Sure. They took the money, and then they saddled it upon the unborn because they couldn't come up with enough money to actually do the kind of horrific wars that they wanted to do. They had to go into debt to do it. And so that means that the unborn were immediately put into debt, and folks are still paying that off today. In fact, it is said that the income tax is barely enough to pay just the interest on the debt that the United States owes to the Federal Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I just want to follow up by saying in Iraq and Afghanistan, why were we there? We were there in large part because of AIPAC.
I was never there.
The Israel Public Affairs Committee, not you, but it's a powerful Jewish lobby, and let's be honest, they force our congressmen and senators to vote Israel. Otherwise, these congressmen and senators who are cowardly scumbags will just
well, believe it or not, Scott, while it is a travesty, not everything has to do with Israel. I mean, a big part of why the United States military was there was because if they do not maintain a dominating presence in the majority of the oil reservoirs, then their dollar becomes worth exactly what it's actually worth.
That's true. That is true. But Israel does play a role in the sense that we are in the Middle East because of tremendous. Don't underestimate the power of AIPAC. They wield tremendous power.
I'm in the Northeast. I don't know where you are.
Say that again.
Well, you keep saying we're over there. I'm not over there. You're not over there.
No,
so
I mean,
which
what
we?
I meant is, I mean the U.S. Armed Forces, but Biden is pulling them out September 11th, which, by the way, is 20 years to the date. 2 decades we've been there. We were in Vietnam 2 decades. And the common denominator, gentlemen, for both wars, both total fiascos, total disasters, which, by the way, also caused our tremendous deficits to balloon, because if you adjust inflation to the Vietnam War, it was not billions, it was trillions. And now trillions added to Iraq and Afghanistan has just destroyed the U.S. economy. But there is good news, and this is
sure helped Raytheon, though.
Yeah, this is good news for Ian. Ian, I know that the U.S. government hurt you. I understand that. But this is the U.S. government is on borrowed time, Ian, and the same is for. I'm telling what's the other fellow's name?
Nobody.
Nobody. That's being persecuted by the U.S. government. The U.S. government, gentlemen, it's not a matter of if it will collapse. It's only when it will collapse.
Well, they've got all kinds of tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, hey, thanks for the call tonight, Scott.
No, I think he's right on about that. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when and how.
But they have all kinds of ways of making it take longer. I mean, people have been saying for decades, it's going to collapse right around the corner. No, well, we're still waiting.
Oh, it's not around the corner yet, but it is heading in that direction.
What's more important than any specific state or government collapsing is that the idea that government is a good idea disappears. That's more important because
otherwise one will replace
it's
the next.
Just a never-ending cycle of horror and death and destruction across the board. It's this idea that you can coerce people into doing things, and that some of us have more rights than others and are able to tell you how to live your life and to extract money from you at their whim just so that they can perform these actions of war.
Well, and that's why it's up to us how it collapses, because it is collapsing. Make no mistake, we're in the death throes of an empire. But if we can sculpt the death of this empire in such a way where we can use things like cryptocurrency and some of the other decentralizing technologies to avoid getting back in this trap.
Agreed. Let's go to, we've got Terry calling from Washington. Terry, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Terry.
I have a question that's kind of twofold. I'm completely ignorant on cryptocurrencies, for one. But my question is, as far as cryptocurrencies go, if there's an attack on our infrastructure, understanding the little bit that I know about cryptocurrencies is it's all digital.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an attack on our cryptocurrency, where's the protection? And the second part of my question is, what happened to you guys on March 16th and why?
Well, let's address the first part of your question first.
You really can't attack cryptocurrency directly because it's cryptographically secure, but I think what you meant was if there's an attack on the internet and like the internet shut down, is that what you meant?
Yeah, you were saying the infrastructure of America?
Right.
If I can't access the cryptocurrency like I can, say, if I have gold or silver in my palm, if I can't access that infrastructure, if I can't access the internet to get access to those funds,
that's a problem.
What happens? What is the protection there?
Well, it's the same situation as having a bank account. If the American internet somehow, which I doubt, if it somehow goes down, you won't be able to access your bank account either. But as compared to gold and silver, that will be more useful than dollars or crypto in that situation.
Yeah.
Although I would have to point out, honestly, in the extremely unlikely circumstance that occurs, you're probably better off having smokeless powder.
Well, and the other thing, the lesson that I hope everybody learns from cryptocurrency, that's a very hang on. Yeah, hang on, Terry. The lesson that I hope everybody learns here, Terry, from cryptocurrency is that you'll notice that there's not just Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is the top dog right now, but there's hundreds, maybe thousands of other cryptocurrencies. So to your point, the idea that most people have that you should just have one currency is antique. It's going the way of the dodo. It's an antique notion. You should have some cryptocurrency. You should have some gold. You should have some silver. You should have some, whatever state currency, whatever country you happen to live in, right? Until that goes away. Diversify, because in an actual free and open society of people who do business according to the non-aggression principle, that is to say everything is voluntary, there will be a market for multiple currencies. So can you hang on for a minute because we want to answer the second part of your question?
Sure.
Also, once the internet comes back online, your crypto's still there. It doesn't go away.
Exactly.
So
603-283-6160. We'll talk more about cryptocurrency and the Crypto 6 coming up on Free Talk Live.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio station where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything that's on your mind. We've got a couple calls holding, so if you're trying to get on the air, please keep trying if you're getting a busy signal. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Peakless Mountaineer.
It's Ian.
And we do have a caller that we held over from the previous segment, and we'll get right back to Terry in a minute, but this is actually relevant to his question, and that is Bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go to the website now and click on Get Started right at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to be ignorant of this important and world-changing information. If you are already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can go to news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and very easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. Let's bring Terry back on the line with us. Terry, are you with us?
Yeah, I sure am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So the second part of your question...
I don't want to go to the second part yet. The first part of the question was about cryptocurrency and what happens if the internet gets shut down, like say by an act of government, or maybe not an act of government.
Solar flare or something.
Whatever.
Yeah.
From Russia, China.
It could happen. What happens? What do you do? Well, as you guys pointed out, have some diversity, have some gold and silver, have some alternatives, some ammunition or whatever else, toilet paper, whatever else you think is going to be valuable in that circumstance. I like the gold back personally. I'm a huge fan of what the Utah gold back people have come out with. There's now the New Hampshire gold back,
and the
Nevada gold back. I believe they're working on Wyoming. I don't know what the status of that one is, but it's a really beautiful, useful piece of gold, because right now, there's not much you can do with even a tenth of an ounce of gold. It's very, very hard to use gold to purchase things because it's valuable, very, very valuable. But the gold backs are available as small as 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. So we're talking about what, $3 or $4 worth of gold there, and it is very, very useful, very, very pretty, very attractive. Everybody wants to know about it. You pull out these gold backs in front of people, they're going to ask you questions about it. They're going to be attracted to it because, well, people like gold. Yeah. And so I think they make a nice crypto gold, crypto, silver, whatever, crypto and precious metals are a perfect combo. Actually, they're
real
like
complementary.
Very complementary.
I spend and accept both of them.
Exactly. And so, for instance, with cryptocurrency, you can easily send value across an ocean, across the world in basically an instant. And, no government, no bank is involved. So there's really valuable reasons to use cryptocurrency. It's a lot harder to send gold to somebody. But if I'm in person in a place like, say, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, where internet is spotty at best, and I can't use cryptocurrency, I can easily pull a gold back out of my wallet and buy almost anything on the campground. At least that was the case last year. I don't know what it's going to be like this year. Because people value gold as well. So I mean, they have complementary purposes.
My guess is that it's going to be just as easy to spend it, but the prices might have changed because people are probably more motivated to get gold.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Go ahead, Terry. You had some additional thoughts.
Well, it was just they've got them in like small credit cards and little pieces that you can cut off, break off, that kind of thing too. Yeah.
That's a little different.
They do, but those are easy to lose. Like if you've got have you ever seen a gram of gold? I mean, they're very, very small. And, it wouldn't be hard to just have that fall out of your wallet or your pocket.
And I think what he was pointing at is a lot of times they'll take a small chunk of gold and they'll suspend it in a little card that's like credit card size just for that purpose to make it easier to hold on to.
Well, the other thing I want to point out about gold backs while we're talking about it is that with cryptocurrency, it has been sort of an uphill challenge because the technology isn't fully developed for businesses, that is, to accept cryptocurrency. Now, there's been some headway made. There's a few companies now that are competing with each other and trying to make that happen. But with gold backs, if you just go to like a restaurant or a gas station or a bar or something, oftentimes you can trade, just show people what the gold back is, maybe have them browse it on their phone or your phone or whatever. You can often trade that to a person directly, and they will then turn around and purchase the thing for you as sort of a person-to-person exchange. Whereas you couldn't really do that with cryptocurrency very easily because the gold back is a tangible good that you can hold in your hand, you can feel it, you can see it, and it is beautiful.
There's a lot more explaining you have to do with cryptocurrency. Usually, you pull out a gold back and you're like, this is what it's worth. You can check it online. Boom, done. Sales over.
Yeah, there's people who have gone to bars and been like, I had 2 beers. Okay, well, that's, $8 or whatever. Like, well, you take 3 gold backs and, call that your tip. And they're like, well, I guess I can cover the tab and then I'll take your gold backs because these are neat. Right? Those kinds of things happen rather regularly.
There's a taco place here in New Hampshire that just takes gold backs. There's a barbecue place that takes gold backs. No one's covering anything there. So anyway. Go. You can get to question 2 now if you want.
My second question is, what happened to you guys and why on March 16th? Because I can't understand why anybody would shut down a free speech movement in any way, shape, or form, and that bothers me.
Well, you mean you can't understand why they would do it or why they would get away with it?
Well, I don't know what happened to you guys and why.
6 a.m. explosions in my house, windows blown in multiple locations, door bashed in next door by a battering ram attached to a Bearcat, all at, in the middle of the night, 10 degrees outside in the New Hampshire weather. They took us out. Luckily, they didn't shoot the dog, thank goodness. And it was just absolutely terrifying. All of this because people were allegedly selling cryptocurrency without asking government permission, and they are charging us with so-called wire fraud, operating an unlicensed quote-unquote money transmitter business, and 1 count, in my case, of alleged money laundering, which is total BS. And so, we're going with not guilty. We're going to go to court. Unfortunately, that's going to be more than a year from now. It's next October. That is the 2022 October. And I just got out of jail earlier this week. I have an ankle monitor on. I cannot talk to my main co-host, Mark Edgington, Melanie, who's one of our other co-hosts, and several other people, including all of the co-defendants in the case. So I'm highly restricted. I'm in no way at liberty, no way being treated as though I'm innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, and the same goes for the rest of the folks who are out on bail. Ian's is a little bit more extreme, but they did a bunch of damage here to the studio.
They sure did.
And it was my thought that, not only are they after people for, doing these cryptocurrency transactions with people who voluntarily wanted to do them with their consent, but they're also after taking Free Talk Live on the air. But they can't do that overtly. So, kind of a secondary mission of theirs was to affect Free Talk Live, which they are doing because the two co-founders can't talk to each other.
Oh, yeah, and one of the charges is, continuing operation of a financial enterprise, and that has a minimum of 10 years.
Thanks for the call, Terry. 603-283-6160.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen to Free Talk Live. Yeah, you can call in and get your voice on over 200 radio stations globally on the internet and even some satellite channels by dialing 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Real quick, I like to breeze through some of the comments from some of our internet folks watching us on various platforms like Vaughn Live and Twitch, and what else are we on? D Live, and there's a few
like
others.
8 of them.
I think we're still broadcasting on Facebook. We're still on YouTube, but we're being broadcast on Aria's YouTube channel instead of the Free Talk Live channel.
We got a bunch of strikes, right?
We got strikes for what is it, medical information?
Yeah.
That disagrees with the government's narrative. So, at any rate, I just want to say, somebody said, sweet haircut, Ian.
Hey, thanks. Bonnie did it.
She did?
She did a great job.
Somebody else just throws up some horns for the hosts here. Let's see what else. Says, thank you. I love Ian. Just tipped. Looks like
thanks.
$9 and said, I love you, Ian. You are one sexy man beast. Much love from the Galactic Order, the Order of the Ancients, I can't read that word, and blah, blah, blah. So,
on the subject of your haircut, it has always kind of bothered me that, okay, how are people supposed to really get a fair trial when you are making them look as disheveled as possible?
Well,
I mean, aren't you
get a
supposed to
haircut
keep
in
up?
jail.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you can order one.
I don't know. Maybe this is just my limited experience, but pretty much every time I've seen someone go to trial, they have the scraggly beard and their hair is all misshapen.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you supposed to present? You look like someone who might do something wrong at that point.
I guess. I don't think it mattered either way. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, in the case of Nobody, where he had a bail hearing, was it yesterday? He had a bail hearing, and I don't think it would have made any difference. He had shaved his beard off or anything like that. That judge had made up his mind in advance. He had a pre-written statement that he was reading at the end of the hearing. I guess you could say that the judge could have heard something that would have changed his mind in theory, but it didn't seem like that was likely.
Yeah, I was playing devil's advocate about that because it's possible, I guess, that while he was listening to all the opening arguments and all the evidence, that he wrote stuff down, and then at the end, that's what he read back.
You think he actually typed out a lengthy statement?
Well, I didn't see anything typed. I didn't see that what he was holding. I couldn't tell that there was a piece of paper with typed words
okay, well,
on
maybe he wrote down.
I agree that he was reading for sure. Yeah. And my gut tells me that was a prepared statement from before the trial even started.
It's definitely possible. I mean, I've been in a lot of hearings.
Sorry, not the trial.
I've been in a lot of court hearings where a judge is not looking at the person speaking and looking down at a notepad or something and making whatever notes or whatever they're doing. And I always feel like, hey, dude, could you listen? Could you actually look at the person who's speaking so it actually looks like you're listening? And I didn't get the impression that that judge seemed to be looking at who was speaking during the hearing.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he was looking down and taking notes or distractedly typing. We couldn't see his hands necessarily during it, but I didn't get the impression that he was writing much at all.
I didn't either. I'm playing devil's advocate. My gut tells me that, what you observed is what happened, but, I just wanted to say
the literal definition of prejudiced.
Yeah, indeed. Bill D says, great to see you, Ian. And Wicked Kitty says, we love you, Ian. My husband and I wear our T-shirts and are giving what we can. So
I appreciate that.
In the studio, it is myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer, and
I'm Ian.
And let's just go to more of your calls and thoughts. We have Vernon calling from Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, Ian. Glad you're out.
Thanks.
I'm sure solitary wasn't very much fun, but I would choose that pass over being in general population myself.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, I got a lot of reading done. I don't read very much generally, so this gave me the opportunity to catch up on the last decade.
Yeah, forced vacation.
Yeah.
So why would they dictate to you that you can't talk to Mark even though he hasn't been charged with anything? Because I thought it was only the people that were charged.
Yeah, that's a great
doesn't make any
question.
sense.
I wasn't given a reason why.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
I get the impression that he is some kind of potential witness or something. But
it seems like they don't want me talking to other people involved in the Shire Free Church, people that might be involved in financial aspects of the Shire Free Church. That's what I'm getting from, because Melanie is, for instance, the accountant for Free Talk Live. So I can't talk to her either.
So I'm with Aria on this. Like that exact behavior is what has changed her mind from this being incidentally affecting Free Talk Live to this being a targeted strike at our program.
Yep.
Vernon?
So another question I had was, you said, I think you told everyone that you couldn't be on a computer a few nights ago. Does that include like tablets, smartphone, any kind of device that can even access the internet at all?
That's right. Yeah, any internet-enabled device I'm prohibited from using without permission from the probation officer, who is my minder, basically. And if I'm going to use a thing, it has to have monitoring software installed on it.
Can you divulge how much you're spending per whatever with all of this, with all these conditions yourself?
The tracking bracelet or the tracking anklet that I have on is a location anklet, whatever you want to call that. It is $100 a month, and then for each device that tracking software will be installed on, and I have 2 scheduled for an install, which won't happen until next Friday. That was the soonest I could get them to make an appointment to do that. That is $30 per device, so that's $160 per month at this point.
So 2 last questions, and then I'll hang up. Do you think any of these bail things can be changed in the future? Like, can you request that they be reviewed?
It could be requested.
And maybe that changes. And then can we ever expect you to be in the first chair, or are you always going to be secondary now? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It can be requested. Whether or not it will be granted is obviously up to the judge in the case. So,
permit me to voice my skepticism at that possibility.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm going to keep an open mind, but we'll see. Time will tell. Yes, I can get back into the first chair, I think, once I have the ability to actually do show prep, which I would be able to do theoretically once I have access to some sort of internet-enabled device.
Right. So the idea is you get a device and install the monitoring software, and then you can do show prep, and then
that's right.
We can put you back in the first chair.
Yeah.
In theory, there's some other things that are kind of priority for you that we don't necessarily need to divulge on the radio that you'd like to get done. So, some standard daily life kind of stuff that you need to make sure you have access to and the ability to do. So that is the goal, is to get you back in the first chair. It's my goal anyway. Hopefully it's your goal as well.
Because I can still run the board.
Yeah,
I can still press the buttons that aren't the internet buttons.
Yep, you can press the phone buttons because that's a phone. So So it's just a matter of getting you on a device that is approved, if you will, by your current masters.
I want to know what I want to know, and I doubt this will be the case, but I'd like to know if I'm going to get time served for being in home detention. Does that happen? I doubt it does.
I've never heard of it happening.
Yeah, they're going to be like, well, you're not in our jail, so therefore it's not time served. But because I was in jail for 2 months, but this is like a jail. I mean, I get to see more people that I care about.
Well, but they're not making money off of you being here.
They are. I mean, it's $160 a month. I mean, it's not as much.
Right? They're making money off of the side things, but just being in the jail gives the jail a certain amount of money.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, like $100 a week at least in phone calls.
Well, and it's a good question for our listeners, maybe. Listeners, if you're aware of anybody or you yourself have received time served for being on probation pre-trial, give us a call at 603-283-6160 and let us know if you know of any cases of that happening, because that's a great question.
Yeah, because I'm not at liberty. I mean, you're supposed to be quote unquote at liberty prior to a trial, innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And this is not that.
Yeah, I mean, they kept you.
I can't even leave the property.
They kept you for nearly 70 days without any kind of, and even the judge himself said the whitest of white-collar crimes.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of, being under control. Here, I get to feed myself. That's an extra responsibility that they don't have to do.
Yeah, their allegations versus their actions certainly don't speak to a system that respects liberty. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
The phone number, 603-283-6160, is the number you should engrave onto a stone tablet. Perhaps tattoo it onto your brother's forehead. You know, write it down somewhere where you're not going to forget it, because that's how you get on air here at Free Talk Live. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Nicholas Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
And I want to tell you that for years, libertarians of all stripes have wanted a directory of liberty-minded businesses Well, we're helping to build one. It's called Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for your community. At its core, it's a directory for events, businesses, and digital content, plus more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's also a bit of a social network so you can connect and share with others. Use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu. You can use code FTL, as in Free Talk Live, to get a special badge. Again, that's Liberty.menu. We've been talking about a whole bunch of stuff, haven't we?
Yeah.
What?
That's what we do.
Talk about things?
Yes.
Like some kind of talking show?
Yes. I usually only do this once, but I want to do it again. There's some other comments here. Somebody says the USA is about to explode. We're headed to Marxism. Civil war is coming. Somebody wants Bonnie to check out Joe Pags, who uses Twitch to get lots of tips, and it works. He's a Republican radio guy, etc. and so on. Somebody says, hey, Captain, I'm from D.C. Met Clutch the band in person. If that's who they are on your shirt, that is indeed correct. I'm a huge fan of Clutch, and in fact, Clutch, I've been a fan of Clutch since 92.
You've had a Clutch shirt on more than once this week.
Yeah, in a rare quirk of events, I'm rolling through my Clutch T-shirts apparently.
Right.
So yeah, I wore one last night, and this is day 2 of my Clutch T-shirt. They're different shirts. It's not the same shirt.
I don't care.
So, but yeah, this one is actually from one of their online concerts they did during the COVID.
Ah, okay.
But Clutch did that song "Escape from the Prison Planet."
That one I know well.
And we know a certain talk show host that I'm not going to name used that in his theme for quite some time.
Okay.
And it really is, it's one of those songs that after I woke up from the fog of statism that I went back and listened to, and it had new meaning for me. Like, it was a fun song when I first heard it, and I thought, oh yeah, that's cool. But then when I came out of the fog of statism, I'm like, whoa, this
I
song
heard
is,
that
even more different
on
now.
the Escape from LA soundtrack.
Yes.
Great soundtrack.
Yes. And so they've progressed as a band and gotten more and more groovy over time. They're probably the most underrated rock band, in my opinion, that's currently out there and playing. So other folks say the host with the beard reminds me of Bones Darley in Death Sentence so much. He was a gun salesman. Well,
I see 2 beards.
There's 2 beards, so we're not certain which one.
Did you just look up this Bones
John
guy?
Goodman?
Yeah, John Goodman in thick glasses. So I'm going to go with you on that one.
All right. Although I'm nowhere near as tall as that guy.
As John Goodman?
Yeah. He's a tall bastard. Well, taller than me anyway. And somebody says, we miss Ian. We love Ian. This is his business, and he needs to make money.
Technically, it's not a business. This is run by the church. And no, I don't need to make money. I'm sustained by the church. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
You certainly were mandated to maintain your employment.
Correct.
And so this would technically qualify as your employment.
Yes. However, I can't talk to the person who handles the accounting for Free Talk Live, so I'm not sure how they expect me to actually receive any kind of sustenance, but we'll get that figured out.
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck.
I'm not starving at this
You're
point.
in luck because we have determined that according to their belief system, cryptocurrency doesn't count as speech. Therefore, you could get crypto from the accountant you're not allowed to talk to.
I don't think I could. Not under the bail conditions.
But then he couldn't touch it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Can't do anything with crypto according to these stupid bail conditions.
Yeah. All right. So I did bring in a little bit of show prep today. I happened upon this article from one of my contacts on social media. This is from arrowmagazine.com. Now, it's a lengthy article, so I'm going to skip the first 5 paragraphs or so, because it just gives an intro to some of the reasons that they're writing this particular article. It's more of an editorial commentary, but I'm going to skip into the real meat of it, and that is, what if SARS-CoV-2 leaked from a lab? What if there are long-term effects of mRNA vaccines? What if ivermectin is a safe and effective prophylaxis against and treatment for COVID-19? Unlike the questions that began this essay, the answers to these questions are not yet resolved. but the very posing of them has been considered, again, beyond the pale. Unacceptable in polite company, outside the Overton window.
Medical misinformation on YouTube.
Yes.
That's a strike.
Yeah. Those of us who asked them throughout 2020 and well into 2021 have been called conspiracy theorists and worse. Our intentions have been questioned. We have been told to keep quiet. Some have self-censored, and others have been brought to heel by big tech. The powers that be at Google, for instance, had an official policy as of May 2021, which includes this line: YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical misinformation, that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's medical information about COVID-19.
So,
to expand upon your comment.
Couple thoughts. One, what about when they put out information that contradicts their own statements? Because they've done that repeatedly.
And they're going to continue to do so because, well, I mean, even if they were the most righteous of organizations, they're staffed by human beings. And thus, they're fallible. And they're going to make mistakes because that's just what humans do.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, the idea that only one medical opinion is the acceptable medical opinion. You can't have another doctor say a different thing because
a second opinion, that wouldn't be scientific.
My doctor has a different opinion about all this, but that's, according to YouTube, medical misinformation. So therefore, strike.
Yeah. This policy fundamentally misunderstands science. Local health authorities and the WHO can be wrong, as can we all. Being wrong is no crime. Shutting down the voices of those who question your conclusions while not criminal is antithetical to science.
That's true.
So I thought this was a new virus that we didn't know things about. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I don't know things about a thing that I really want to know things about, I get lots of different perspectives, lots of different opinions, and then I kind of shake them together and see what holds together and what falls apart.
That used to be like the real benefit of the internet, is you could easily go and get different opinions. And it seems like in the last year, that whole concept has dissolved into, no, there's only this one official opinion. Big tech has anointed this CDC or the WHO or whoever as the official.
It's a fascist
viewpoint.
flow of information.
Yeah.
Like, to find the differing opinions, you have to get off of the websites and apps that are controlled by so-called big tech. Whereas, and like, this was kind of on its way up before COVID, right? We saw Google purchase YouTube. YouTube used to be fantastic. Now it's a piece of crap, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, that was more than a decade ago.
Sure.
At this point.
But that's what I'm saying. It's been sort of on this decline. And then COVID kicks in, you know, all the lockdowns and stuff kicks in, the CDC kicks in, the WHO pipes up, and they all get to work together with these big tech companies because they're all chummy now because they're billionaires and trillionaires and all that kind of stuff. And they're donating to the right campaigns for these politicians. And so now we have fascist big tech.
Yeah, in many cases, not just donating to the campaigns. We saw it during the Barack Obama administration, and now again during the Biden administration, where big tech administrator types, big tech CEO types are actually on the government boards. They're actually on. They actually have become part of the state because they're that connected.
Yeah, Biden is chocked to the gills with these tech giant people.
Right.
And one of the things that I think is really driving a lot of this is that we've seen government fail at everything. We've seen the corporate media get caught in lie after lie after lie after lie, frequently disastrously putting us into war. And when this is happening, I mean, people get scared and uncertain. And when they are uncertain, they cling to, no, there must be only one narrative. We have to have solidarity no matter what the cost, even if that cost is truth and lives.
The telephone number here is 603-283-6160 if you want to try and get your voice on this program. It's the Saturday night version of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is coming up next.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The holiday not stopping criticism of his budget proposal. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. President Biden unveiled his nearly $6 trillion budget just before this holiday weekend. But many Republicans today were blasting the proposal, saying it will put the country further into debt and cause inflation to skyrocket. Kansas Senator Roger Marshall.
We begin these negotiations by telling the president, look, you think that this inflation is short-lived? You're throwing gasoline on the fire. Inflation occurs when you're throwing too many dollars at too few goods, and that's exactly what's happening.
Democrats say the budget would create millions of jobs and boost the economy. Calls for a thorough investigation into the origins of COVID-19 are growing louder from Republicans and Democrats. Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick.
The onus ought to be on China to prove natural convergence, not on the rest of the world to disprove it. It's much easier to prove by finding the host species that that's where it came from than trying to find a smoking gun that can only reside in the Wuhan Institute of Virology that is on complete lockdown, that's had all the evidence wiped.
House Republicans are pushing for a full congressional investigation. Attorneys for a Mexican national say they may appeal after a jury found him guilty of killing an Iowa girl nearly 3 years ago.
5 women and 7 men reached this verdict unanimously, finding Christian Rivera guilty of murdering Molly Tibbetts. In 2018, 20-year-old Tibbetts went for a run. She was never seen again. Police found the University of Iowa student's body stabbed in a cornfield.
Fox's Alex Hogan. Rivera could spend life in prison. Airports across the nation reporting their busiest weekend since before the pandemic. The AAA expects more than 37 million people to travel by air and by road this weekend, a 60% increase from last year. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that the River Nile flows south to north? You would if you watched the series The Nile, 5,000 Years of History on Curiosity Stream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
The price to mail a letter will be going up this summer.
The U.S. Postal Service is planning on increasing the price of a first-class stamp to 58 cents from its current 55 cents on August the 29th. The price increase is part of Postmaster General Louis DeJoy's 10-year plan to reorganize the post office and avoid a projected $160 billion loss over the next decade. Single-piece first-class mail volume like cards and letters has declined 47% during the past 10 years, and even with the new cost, the USPS U.S. said it will continue to have some of the lowest letter mail postage rates in the industrialized world. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
A Tennessee teenager who went missing 2 years ago after allegedly being kidnapped by her father has been found safe.
Police in Alabama accidentally stumbling upon 18-year-old Daphne Westbrook early Friday when she was pulled over for a busted light and expired tag. Police believe her father had kept her against her will by keeping her intoxicated. They're still looking for him. Daphne Westbrook reportedly didn't want to speak with her mother, with whom she had a falling out when she dropped out of school. According to Sampson, Alabama police, the 18-year-old said she needed no help in any way. After determining she was in no danger, officers let her go. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Scientists give us a new look at the Milky Way.
370 observations from the last 20 years make up a stunning new picture released by NASA, showing our galaxy's violent, super-energized downtown.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Everyone needs to get a justice shed. So you have a place to throw that little juvenile delinquent you caught loitering out on the street corner. This is not rocket science, people. I just call up my neighbors, Frank and Terry. We get out there with baseball bats, fishing nets, and we knock that suspect out. And we toss him in our justice shed. We just start dealing out some shovel beatings. That's democracy, people. That's the biggest benefit of the justice shed, people. You are in charge.
Our justice shed was all filled up, so we created this justice cage. It's just as good. These guys, I think we caught them shoplifting, and this is my daughter's boyfriend.
Look, if you don't have a yard big enough to place a justice shed in, go out and get yourself a justice barrel. I don't care. The important thing is to take control of your safety by any means necessary.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program. We are kicking off hour number 3 of the Saturday night edition of Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We've got some calls on hold, so if you're getting a busy signal, please keep trying. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me.
Ooh, zing.
Oh, man. You've been canceled.
Demerit.
You're taking my voice away. What are you, a virus of COVID?
No, I'm a fascist big tech company. I heard you were giving misinformation about medical stuff.
I
decided to silence
different
you.
ideas about the same thing at the same time. Oh, there I go.
All right. Anyway, who are you?
Peakless Mountaineer.
And you?
It's Ian.
All right. We've been talking about this article from arrowmagazine.com, the title of which is What If We're Wrong? And it goes on to talk about, well, a whole bunch of things surrounding the actual reaction to, COVID and treatments for it and the discussion around it and the science around it, and more so the process around it. And we could continue talking about that. But
the state is never wrong.
Yeah. But we have some folks holding.
You hearing that, Captain?
I don't hear anything. No.
It sounds a little fuzzy to me.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, really?
I'll see what I can do. You keep talking.
All right. But we do have some phone callers calling. We have Michael in California calling. Michael, You're on Free Talk Live. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. What's on your mind tonight?
Yes, I have a question for you. Do they make you take the COVID-19 vaccine before being jailed?
The answer is no, at least not here in New Hampshire. I don't know what the rules would be in other places as far as the federal government, prisons or other state jails or prisons. But here it was a choice. It wasn't a choice they asked about upon going into the jail, but it was later on. There was a certain time at which they came into the cell blocks and they went around to all of the inmates and said, would you like the COVID-19 vaccine? And they took signups from those who wanted the vaccine. And then like a week or so later, a bunch of nurses showed up on the cell block and it was vaccine day.
Interesting, because I thought, you are of the I have a medical condition sort of type of person. So I was under the impression that they did attempt to get you to take it, and you did your medical exemption claim, and that's why you were sort of kept in medical and almost solitary.
No, what happened with me? I have a medical exemption to wearing a mask.
It's the masks, right?
I mean, I presume I could get one for a vaccine as well.
Sure,
but that I have from an actual doctor from Massachusetts who has come up to some of our meetups here. He's a great guy. And so upon entering the jail, when I was being processed, the first thing they said was, everyone has to wear a mask. All inmates must wear a mask at all times. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm medically exempt. You can call my doctor if you want. I mean, he'll tell you I'm medically. I don't have my little card on me because I was arrested without any clothes.
Right.
They brought me clothes later once I was in the FBI's custody. All I had was a robe on at the time. So I didn't have my wallet on me. I didn't have my card from my doctor. But I said, here's my doctor's name. Here's his, generally where his office is located. I don't have his number, but if you want to call him, you can. I don't know if they ever did. I don't think that they did, but they never told me that they did, but they never made me put a mask on from that point forward.
Now, to be clear, just for the caller, Michael, you were being held in Merrimack County Jail. That's right. This is a different type of an establishment than like an actual prison.
Correct. Jail is a place where they hold people pre-trial and or those who are sentenced typically to no more than a year's time.
Does that help you out, Michael?
Yes, I thank you for your answer.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Let's go right away to the Domster calling from Ohio. Domster, you're on Free Talk Live.
Captain Ian Peakless, so good to speak with you all. And Ian, it's great that you're back.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for writing me while I was in jail. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it made my day to see your reply. So I was going to say, so the other podcast I love to listen to is I like to listen to Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
And a few days ago, he talked about how the banks are really worried because supposedly during the pandemic, people have been paying off their credit cards and not using their credit cards. And that's a major revenue source for them being, evaporating. So I wonder, have you guys heard about that, or what are your thoughts?
First I've heard of it.
No, that's news to me. I'm glad to hear people are able to pay off their debts during a difficult time, right? Like if a lot of people weren't working as a result of that. But I guess all that government money is good for something, right? Like,
and it is one of the best investments that a person can make when they suddenly have a windfall. Is like if you're paying like 29.9% on a credit card,
my God,
and suddenly you have $1,400, it's like cha-ching. I mean, it is absolutely certain that you are getting the 30% return by just not having to pay them extra money
in the future. Yeah, that's a good point. I hope that the banks go down because we want to see those. I can't speak for everybody else, but a lot of us in the crypto world would love to see the failure of many of those institutions. Good riddance.
Yeah,
good riddance.
There's a caveat there, a little tiny one, and that is to say that as far as banking institutions go, if you have to have one, at least you switch from like a major bank, a Chase or anything like that. Just throwing out a potential name there. but switch to a credit union.
Yep,
That's the one that I bank with, the first one you mentioned.
Get out of there. Open an account with any credit union, whatever's local to you. Generally, you can find some sort of either even a community, within a county, or a specialty if you are in a certain industry. You can find that type of credit union, or just a regular community credit union, because the profits that they make, they distribute amongst the people who bank. For the most part, not all of it, obviously, but
they keep the fees down in a lot of cases, and the rates are decent.
And their customer service is outstanding by orders of magnitude.
It's hard to, I really want to like the banks / the credit unions. A lot of good people work in those businesses, but man, they all have to just fillet the state all day long, every day, and it sucks.
It's hard to appreciate an industry when their existence is contingent upon state violence.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the banks are they only exist because we are kept out of the market. We are kept from improving conditions because we can't just go in and do things better.
If everybody, and a large percentage of people, were to just move out of the major advertiser banks, as I'll call them, and move into community credit unions, that would be a really nice first step to help drive another a stake of fear into those banking institutions. And then, of course, the move to cryptocurrency. The blockchain itself has the ability to do to the banks what Craigslist did to the newspaper industry. So it's just a matter of time.
Put it out of business, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have a bank in your pocket. The technology exists for that to happen. It's just it hasn't been developed yet. The developers haven't made it happen yet. So if you are raising children right now, or you have children that are trying to figure out what to do with their life post the government indoctrination centers, I recommend putting them into development of some kind, because there are not enough developers to make this happen fast enough, for me, in my opinion. And developers can find a job anywhere, in any place, at any time, almost across the entire earth.
And I do think it's interesting that a lot of the credit card companies are starting to invest in and investigate cryptocurrency so that they might survive the coming shift, because that's what this is. This is an absolute shift from the legacy system of finance into a better system, and some of them would like to still be around after that shift occurs.
And there are a handful of banks that are also looking at that and trying to integrate those things, so kudos to them.
Yeah, we covered
that Ripple that you're speaking of?
No, they're not a bank.
We did cover that a leaked document from Chase talked about how they are right on the precipice of either Bitcoin replacing currency or stopping existing, and it's still here.
Donster, did you have more?
That's all for me. I hope to see you guys at PorkFest.
Yep, good to hear from you, brother. We'll see you then. Thanks for the call. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're a live radio call-in talk program where you get to take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. The telephone number for that is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Bigless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. That means no one can tell you what to do. You can do a lot of things. You can put on an event. You could just come there to have a good time and hang out with other people and party a little bit. You could just come and camp out, or you could, do business with other liberty-minded folks. It's all up to you. All you need to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also find the link to the unofficial Telegram channel and the unofficial forum. Again, links to all that can be found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there.
No more independent place than that.
Well, at least, anywhere in the lower 48, possibly even the United States. Anyway, let's continue with your calls and thoughts.
I wish I could go. It sounds like it's going to be the biggest year yet.
Oh, yeah.
We have David calling from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, in honor of Ian, as I'm talking to you, I'm blasting
Richie Havens, Freedom at Woodstock, 1969, as
Cool.
I'm talking to you.
Don't take the brown acid.
Don't take,
No.
It is of inferior
advice.
quality.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't understand.
There's a meme going around the internet that's something like, if you give individuals the ability to do whatever they want, you get Woodstock. If you give government the ability to do whatever they want, you get a whole bunch of murder.
Yep.
Go ahead, David.
Right on. So we might as well have fun with law. So here's how to having fun with law. How to F your ex using the law. And so, and I know because this was done to me, and anybody can do it to anybody you're splitting up with when you got kids, and it's fun. So here's what you do. If you happen to be in a situation where you split up with your partner and you got a kid or two, and you are behaving as mature adults and you're exchanging children back and forth between your now separate households, and then one day you decide that you want to really put the screws to your ex and do them in good, here's what you do, is when the children are with you, then you go to the courthouse and you pay your $100 and some filing fee and file for custody or divorce with custody or whatever the terminology is in your state, in your jurisdiction. And you will immediately be handed, by virtue of having been the first one to the courthouse, while in possession of the children. You got to be in possession of the children at the moment to make this work. You'll be handed an ex parte order, meaning that there's no hearing. They just give it to you, a judge's order. They just give it to you because you paid money for it. You don't have to have a hearing, and the other partner can't object to it or anything like that. It's just automatic. And
or you could just be kind to your ex and, try to be friendly.
Right. Well, I tried that, and this was done to me, and we're having fun. We're having fun here, since it's boring to talk about the law in the forward direction. We're having fun with the law and reverse engineering and seeing what fun we can have.
Yeah.
So
well,
it doesn't sound like fun.
Hang on, because all you're doing here, David, is you're pointing a gun at your ex. You're inciting violence by using this methodology. Even if you had it done to you, they're pointing it at you.
Because I was being facetious and sarcastic and using satire to expose your government. That's what I was doing.
It certainly underlines the point that when you choose a mate, it is the most important decision of your life. And if you choose poorly, they may end up pointing guns at you.
Well, and the guns of government, too.
But you can't always know. You don't have a crystal ball. The person that you know at one moment is not necessarily the same person 10 years later or whatever. So, yes, I agree with you. However, Well, that's debatable. But anyway, to finish what I was saying is that what happens is, and the point of all this is this system should not exist. And so I'm exposing the system that should not exist.
I agree.
Okay? So you'll get this ex parte temporary domestic order. And what that temporary domestic order does is give the person who paid for it, who happens to be in possession of the minor children at the moment, it gives them complete say over the lives of the children and whether or not their other parent gets to see them before the pending court hearing, which will not occur until 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months down the road.
Now, is this an extension of family court that does the ex parte? So, as I understand it, family court is historically extremely biased in the favor of the female member of a partnership.
Yes.
So.
Yes,
if you had attempted this, I wonder if you would have met with the same amount of success at wielding the iron fist of the state against your former loved one.
It would have worked because they've left no loopholes. There's no way they could discriminate against me because if I go there to pay the filing fee, they have to give it to me, and it's a cookie cutter order. It says the same for everybody. They can't change that, and the cops cannot take children from one parent and give to the other in violation of that order. So it's bulletproof without a second emergency petition to the court. So if you want to look for a loophole, Mountaineer, then yes, what you would do to counter that is you would file a motion for emergency hearing and see if the court grants you an emergency hearing because your ex is not allowing you any access to your children during the pendency of the temporary domestic order.
Thanks for the advice.
Appreciate the call, David.
Stories like that's why I got a vasectomy at age 23.
Yeah, well, and to Peakless Mountaineer's point, the family court system doesn't even resemble the regular court system. And we talk regularly here on Free Talk Live about the horrors of just the regular court system and how that doesn't really work, and really it doesn't provide much justice at all. And most people end up taking plea bargains and, saying, or accepting sentences that they certainly don't deserve because they're unaware of how the system actually works. But family court it's like the hell of courts, right? It's another level below regular courts.
Courts have to at least pretend that they have rules, whereas family court has no such need at pretense. Yeah. It's whatever the judge says is the actual thing that they are pretending to do.
And the judge and the family court lawyers know each other very well. Many of them regularly have lunch together and all of this kind of a thing. And they collude together to make as much money as they possibly can out of the situation, bankrupting a lot of people who are seeking some sort of relief. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Wattner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Wattner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Welcome back to the War for the White House bunker. A troubling new report from the Shuttleworth Institute shows that due to Facebook, every potential candidate for the 2040 presidential race, no matter how smart or accomplished, is now completely unelectable. I'm standing in the 2012 Democrat with Jason Copeland. Jason, walk us through this.
Yeah, we're looking at really a political crisis. The Democrats are currently searching basements and creepy backyard sheds in search of somebody who was kidnapped at a young enough age that they have no online presence.
That is a very interesting tactic.
And the GOP has been looking at this young man. This is a 20-year-old Jeeves Jones. He's currently living in Appalachia with his fundamentalist Christian grandmother and no electricity.
So Jeeves has no Facebook page?
Jeeves does not. In fact, he's completely illiterate. And the Republican Party has begun grooming him for a possible candidacy in 2036.
All right. Well, at least there's someone. Thank you, Jason Copeland.
Thanks, Andrea.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
It's Ian.
And I want to take a minute and say thank you to MI Free to Go, who is a silver level amplifier. MI Free to Go donates $5 per month for the reason or for the effort to get this particular radio show that you're listening to onto more radio stations. We're on around 200 stations right now. We could be on 250. We could be on 300 radio stations, maybe more. It's all up to you. You can find out more at amp.freetalklive.com. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And if you become an amplifier, there's some little perks for you. There's an AMP-only Facebook group and an AMP-only podcast and a couple of other things. But the real reason is to help us spread the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty to more radio stations, to more people. And so we say thank you again to MI Free to Go for your contributions. We appreciate you. All right, moving right along, let's just go ahead and talk to... Actually, hang on, Rusty, stand by. I wanted to mention we were talking about family court in the previous segment and the horrors of it. There is a documentary that's out there. It's called Divorce Corp, C-O-R-P, Divorce C-O-R-P. And it's one, I mean, it's
well worth watching.
It's a documentary, but man, it is a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it is scary in a way that horror movies are not scary. It highlights all the things we were talking about the horrors of family court and how the judges and the lawyers sort of work together to just really drain people's bank accounts. And really nothing much more than that is what most people get out of family court. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, they have no intention of upholding a certain decorum in those courts.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go to Rusty, who's calling from Texas. Rusty, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, howdy. I just wanted to welcome Ian back. Glad he's out.
Thanks.
Good hearing your voice again. And I guess this is one more reason for New Hampshire to become an independent country. Hopefully it'll happen before your trial, but...
Can't happen soon enough, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of briefly talk about Bitcoin, see I know you aren't giving a financial advice or anything, but get your opinion, see if you think it's a bear market that we're in now. Bitcoin recently went under the 21-week EMA. The pie graph, it did across there, signaling the top. And it seems that Bitcoin dominance is also dropping too. So would y'all think maybe we're entering the altcoin season?
Ooh, what is the Bitcoin dominance? I haven't looked at these things since I've gotten out of or since I was put into jail. So what's the current?
Are you even allowed to? Because I know Arya has restrictions at even looking at these things.
I'm not allowed to use cryptocurrency or go to any website that would allow me to transfer or to save or to give or anything like that. But I think I can
told by us.
I think I can get information. If I could use an internet connected device, I think I could go and actually look at the prices. But
or read articles about what's going on.
But I can't at this time. So,
Rusty,
it's 44%. I guess.
Wow.
Bitcoin dominance. It was low at 39 back on
That's
May 19th.
definitely alt
So,
season. That's like 2017 levels, because when I went into so let me explain. When I went into jail in March, Bitcoin dominance was at like 65%, I believe. And now, for listeners that don't know what that means looking at the entire market cap of all the crypto, the sort of the ones that anybody looks at, the top few thousand cryptocurrencies, the total value of all of those things, what percentage of that total value is created by Bitcoin compared to all the rest?
Right.
So like back in early 2017, it was like 90%. It went down, it went down, it went down, it went all the way down to like in, I think, the 30s or the 40s or something like that. It's been a while since I've looked at it. And then it went back up to like 65, 70%. That's where it's been for the last few years. And now you're saying it's at what was it, 45%?
44. It was 10
And did
days
you say-
ago. It was at 40. Yeah.
So that means that people are moving out of Bitcoin and into these alternatives like Bitcoin Cash or Dogecoin. I've actually heard a lot of, while I was in jail, surprisingly, I got a radio. It took me like 3 or 4 weeks to finally get a little handheld portable radio that I could listen to. So I was able to listen on occasion to Free Talk Live because we have an affiliate that covers the jail. And unfortunately, baseball preempted the show almost all the time, so I barely heard any of the show. But anyway, there was also NPR station that I was able to listen to. Normally, I don't spend much time with them, but I did listen to some because I couldn't listen to Free Talk Live. And they actually did a show about Dogecoin. There was a whole half-hour-long presentation about this guy that bought a bunch of Dogecoin and like made more money than he's ever seen in his entire life. And it's been talked about. And there was a morning show on the talk station I was listening to that also was talking about Dogecoin. So there's a lot of attention on some of these alternatives, and that's good because Bitcoin isn't really that useful these days.
It's the problem that I have. I recognize the Bitcoin dominance has fallen, and that does mean that people are looking at and moving into other currencies.
Yeah.
But the problem that I have with saying that Bitcoin is dead or anything like that,
No, it's not dead.
Isn't necessarily something I'm willing to say. And with regards to calling it a bear market or whatever, I'm leery of really giving much of an opinion because all of the other cryptocurrencies dipped. Even though the dominance has moved around, the dip has been sort of across the board.
That's usually how it happens.
Right. And what I'm saying is, you are absolutely correct. What I'm saying is, it's not going to really be alt season until one of these cryptocurrencies moves in opposition to Bitcoin in the gain way. In other words, I'm saying that if Bitcoin dips, it should not affect one of these other cryptocurrencies. Eventually, these alt currencies should be independent of any Bitcoin dip.
That's not what defines alt season.
And that, to me, is when alt season will be upon us.
That's not my understanding of what alt season is. What you're talking about is an alternative coming on to dominate Bitcoin.
Yes.
We've not seen that ever happen.
Right.
Alt season previously had been described as when money, value or whatever, when value moves from Bitcoin to these others.
Yep.
And that's what we've seen happen. So yes, the value of the entire market has gone down, but at the same time, people are saying, I want to sell Bitcoin and get something else, whether it be Dash or Bitcoin Cash or one of these other
But do
ones.
we know how much money moved out of crypto and back into USD?
I guess you could look at the total market cap and see that.
Well, when it went from like 60,000 to 40,000, that's a pretty good indicator of how much is moving out. I mean, it's a weird thing that like a lot of people are trying to get there to be a sort of thing that we gauge all of the cryptocurrencies on. I forget what the term for that is, but just
the
like
total global market cap would be that.
Well, like with stocks, they have so they'll take a bundle of tech stocks and sort of average out what they're doing to give you an index. That's the word.
Like the Dow Jones and the S&P, right?
Yeah, and I've basically
NASDAQ.
thought of Bitcoin as the index for the crypto market since there isn't one. But in this case, it's showing a major variance.
The index would be the global market cap for all the sort of noteworthy cryptos combined. And you can look at coinmarketcap.com. You can look at coingecko.com. These are two of the biggest, I would say, and most useful sort of listing sites. And there's usually an indicator right at the top of what the total market cap was or is at the moment. And I believe it hit like $2 trillion, maybe even more while I was in jail, but I'm not sure.
And before the big dip, too, just to expand on your point, I guess, Ethereum itself was at almost $4,000. And that was the big news until the dip happened, and then everything dipped, and now Ethereum's at like, I don't know, 2,300 or something.
But it's still newsworthy because it has gained on Bitcoin.
Well, it gained market share, and it also is starting to hit benchmarks that we previously only heard Bitcoin hit, which is like it's now more valuable than X Bank
Gold.
or JP Morgan Chase or something like some big name institutions and that kind of a thing. So to me, I was thinking that the cryptocurrency market was finally going to expand, in ways that it hadn't before, but then the big dip hit. So now I'm like, I don't know. I hope that answered your questions, Rusty. We appreciate the call. 603-283-6160. Do you think alt season is upon us? Give us a call. Let us know. This is Free Talk Live.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. The telephone number, well, we're in the final segment, so you're likely not going to get on. But for future reference, it's 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 for future reference. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining
Peakless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
And Peakless Mountaineer, we were talking during the break there about...
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out is, like, he's asking, is it a bear market? And as far as I know, a bear market is when it is going down. I mean, technically, like the last, week or so ish, it's been sort of slowly going
from to refer
bull
to a
market and bear market.
Yeah,
it's an old stock thing.
I learned it last year what it means. So the bear, sort of like the classic bear attack, is to claw downwards, like attack down, and then the bull attack is to sort of run its head upwards into you, right? So the idea is the bull is going up and the bear is coming down.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's asking, is it a bear market? And as far as I know, what usually happens is that as summer comes up, it drops.
Right.
And then it pretty much stays down. And then as you get into fall, it goes back up.
That's been the case so far, year over year.
I mean, yeah,
for Bitcoin.
There's no predicting any of this, of course.
Right.
But as I see it, I mean, yeah, you'd want to, it's a speculative investment to a lot of people, so you'd want to spend it on, vacations and houses, and no one wants to move in the winter. So I mean, it's probably headed down maybe a little bit further, but it's probably going to stay down for the summer and go up in the fall if it does what it has usually done. So as far as a bear market, maybe a little, but it is probably going to level off and then go up.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but if you look at the last two, we were just looking at some of the charts over at coinmarketcap.com, looking at the global market cap and looking at the Bitcoin dominance charts, which shows Bitcoin and comparing it to the other cryptos and looking and seeing what's been going on. It definitely looks like alt season to me, and it looks like a pretty strong one because Bitcoin hasn't been down this low as far as this dominance is concerned. I don't recall it being this low in the last few years.
Has it ever been below 50%?
Yes. Yeah, you can pull up that chart again and take a look and see when the last time was.
And to clarify, alt season doesn't mean that there is an alternate that is looking to replace it. It just means that more of the value is moving into the other cryptocurrencies.
Combined, yeah.
Yeah, right. Combined as compared.
Ethereum is the biggie, but the rest of them, they put them all together in quote-unquote others. And that's where the bulk of it's going.
Now, I was speculating because I've seen technology. I'm old, right? I'm 49. I've seen technology, the advent of the PC, the advent of the cell phone, the pager, right? These things were new to me as the technologies were invented. And so I've seen these in, just my everyday life, and that's called the market, right? Regular people start adopting this stuff and start using it on a regular basis. That means you've hit the mainstream market, right? That kind of a thing. And so I've seen all of that. I've seen the advent of, Microsoft and all that kind of thing. A bunch of people bought stocks and got rich off of doing that. And I missed out on all those opportunities because, I was busy partying and rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. Cryptocurrency rolls around, Bitcoin specifically, and I recognized it as the same kind of a thing is happening again with the internet and software and PCs and all these technologies that I'd seen.
Except bigger.
I recognized that. I'm like, this is one of those things that's going to change the entire market. And except it's going to change the market of currency.
Right.
And so, I took a risk because I thought it was a good idea. And I thought to myself, I am not going to miss out on this one. Nice. You know what I mean? Because I missed out on all the other ones, right? I didn't buy any Microsoft stock. I didn't put any money into like the cell phone companies and all that kind of stuff as the technologies were coming up.
And it's kind of great because this one gives you the chance to buy in. I missed the first time that this shot up, but I did not miss the next time that this shot up.
Nice. Well, and so to get to my point, specifically during what I'm going to refer to as the search engine wars.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This was a very tenuous time in the early internet times. Businesses, only tech companies had email, right? Most people, regular individuals didn't even have like a Hotmail address yet or something, any kind of an email address. I remember there being like the Today Show where like the hosts of that television program were like, what is an @ sign? Do we you get something at something? We don't understand, right? It was hard for them to comprehend. Why do we need email?
Is that like a fax machine?
Why do we need email? We can just write letters.
This internet's just a fad.
Right. Yeah. Oh, this thing will die off.
It's tulip mania.
Yeah. I have a fax machine. What do I need email for? Right. All this kind of stuff. And the same thing was being said about cryptocurrency. Now, the thing that gets me is that it appears to me from what I've looked into it, and I'm no like economist. I'm just a guy with a computer who looks at stuff. It appears to me that the cryptocurrency market still is mirroring the search engine markets during the search engine wars. And that is to say, everybody was rushing. There was one, the most popular one I remember was Ask Jeeves, but I don't know if that was the dominant one, but there was...
Alta Vista
was that may have been the dominant one.
Yahoo was pretty big.
Yahoo was in there. There's several other search engines, Dogpile, Dice. They were all sort of racing for the top.
Well, and that right there does put a little contradistinction between the two phenomena, because like there wasn't this is the search engine and then everyone copied their code and that one still was dominant. There wasn't a single dominant search engine. There were a few dominant search engines.
Well, there was a handful of search engines that at least were being used, and everybody behind these was, they're hiring developers to like, how do we make ours the best? How do we dominate this? And so they were all busy trying to do that and trying to figure out what people wanted in a search engine.
And then Google came about.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes this thing called Google. And whereas all the other search engines, web pages that you would land on were all very super busy trying to get you to, do all sorts of things, advertise to you, et cetera, and so on, Google comes out of nowhere and kind of, again, like Craigslist, I hate to, sort of beat that horse, but just a blank page with a field in it that you typed something in. And it was so different, so radically different from all the other search engines that it shot up to the top. Now, why do I say all of this? Because the cryptocurrency market still mirrors that battle for the search engines. It's still on that same trajectory where, so eventually I predict, and it's just my opinion, I'm not an economist, I'm not a cryptocurrency expert, but eventually I predict that there is going to be a cryptocurrency that solves a whole bunch of problems that are currently only being solved by individual cryptocurrencies.
It may already exist.
It may already exist for all we know, or some guy in a basement somewhere.
There's 10,000 cryptos on that CoinMarketCap site. Who's got the time to research all those?
Yeah. So I see that will come out of nowhere and sort of, be the Google of cryptocurrency. Hopefully they don't turn into
evil,
which, we've seen from Google. But
fortunately, we have a much better ability to take the market away from an evil cryptocurrency than we did to take the market away from an evil search engine.
Yeah, agreed. And the other thing about just cryptocurrency in general is, outside of a new security strip in your $20 bill, outside of them doing like, goofy new artwork on your all of your currencies, the regular currencies, I can't remember the last time a government innovated something in a currency, right? Whereas
they put the strip in a couple decades
ago. That's why I said that.
Ooh, they made it look like Monopoly money.
Yeah,
they did that too.
Outside of the security strip and maybe some new artwork, I haven't seen any innovations in currency coming from governments in my entire life. Whereas in the last 10 years, the existence of cryptocurrency in general, there have been hundreds of thousands innovations in currency,
and they upgrade constantly.
Constant.
Bitcoin Cash, for instance, I think has a mandatory upgrade every twice a year, every 6 months.
And so there's no possible way for government-sponsored money, fiat money, central bank money. There's no possible way for them to keep up with that level of innovation.
Moves so fast. It's actually a little overwhelming as a user. It's like, wait, I got to update my client again? Jeez, what are they doing now?
Yep.
So now I'm on a completely different expectation. I think there will be different niches that different cryptocurrencies fall into. So like right now, the dominant one is Bitcoin,
Yeah, it is.
which its primary purpose right now is as a store of value. Now I think that niche is going to continue to exist, and I think it's going to be a big part of it, but there are going to be other important niches like spendability, features, and privacy.
The question is, what will the market value?
Indeed.
Well,
Only time will tell.
I think privacy is going to be it kind of already is. It kind of already. There's so many coins that are like, I mean,
But last time I looked, Monero wasn't even in like the top 20. And that's the key. True. That's the number one privacy coin. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know where it is right now. But if you go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, it'll show you. I don't know if people value privacy. I mean, look at all the privacy they give up on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and I think that they're going to have a comparable thing to like water and power. What's more valuable? Well, you need both.
Right.
And you're going to want features and you're going to want privacy, but maybe not at the same time.
We are out of time for today's episode. If you missed any of us, find our archives at freetalklive.com. We're here 7 nights a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Thanks to everyone for listening, and peace.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be